Guys, if you're not watching this live, welcome to Big Money Stylist, the podcast. Ani's here, but she's laughing so damn hard she can't even control herself. I walked in and I was just feeling like my best Mariah Carey self. Okay, so that's if you want to know why, it's because I spent an hour and a half doing these damn tight curls, and it's fun.
I need you to go to bigmoneystylist
Wait, look, it gets bigger.
.com and look at Danielle's hair.
I could not feel more. Is it 90s or 80s?
Oh, girl, you 80s.
Okay, I also have a pair of like really boyfriend baggy ripped up jeans, and I have a shirt on with like borderline shoulder pads. So like,
you know what you look like? You look like someone from Saved by the Bell. Did you ever watch that show?
Oh God, Kelly. I got you, girl.
You look like Kelly from Saved by the Bell.
You don't be jealous.
Except she had straight hair and you have curly hair. But
yeah.
Whatever her friend was, Jessie. You have Jesse's hair and Kelly's everything else.
I was made for the perm days, man. Like, I can't, like, that's the first thing I had done when I was little. Like, did you get perms?
Fuck no. That's terrifying.
No. That was the thing. Like, you scrunched and go. And at one point, you'd round brush your bangs and feather them back. And you're like, I am hot.
Okay, so I was born in the 90s.
I was not. I had on my do you know what Stussy is?
Stussy?
Okay. Do you know what gerbos are?
No.
Oh my God.
How old do you feel right now?
I feel so old. I'm not that old.
You're only 6 years older than me.
You know what, though? I had older brothers and sisters, and it's so funny because, like, music will come on the radio, and I'm like, Collective Souls, oh, Stone Temple Pilots, and Garrett's like, how do you know this? I'm like, I don't know.
But
like,
really, what are those things? Not what you just said.
Oh, you don't. Stussy.
Stussy.
It's like a surf brand, but it got like really big. Gerbos? Come on.
No.
Bum equipment.
Bum? I feel like you're just making shit up right now.
I'm not. You guys are listening in your car driving down the road, and you were like, I love gerbos. Like, you know.
And then the other half of you are sitting there, you're like, Ani, I'm with you. I don't know what the fuck she's talking about.
You know what? You're probably, your version would be like, you mean True Religion? You mean Miss Me's? And then.
Okay, that I know.
Yeah, see? There we go.
Damn it, that I do know. What was that brand for guys? Total douchebag. They was like super rhinestoney.
Oh, it's Affliction.
Oh, man.
Like, I don't know what they're called, but like Affliction shirts for guys.
Yeah. Ed Hardy?
Ed Hardy.
Oh, ooh, no.
No, guys can't wear rhinestones.
Not on your clothing. Also,
No.
not on your body.
No.
Please. Sometimes I see guys with like, what are those, like dermals? Like those like implants. And I'm like, oh, you should not.
Nope.
But
anywho,
it's interesting that we're actually talking about things from way back in Danielle's day.
Yeah. So
My day was a little, closer to history, but
I can't even hear. I have so much damn hair. I'm like, where is my ear?
She's literally trying to part, because at this point you can't push it all back because you're going to look crazy.
Yeah, right.
But it's interesting that really just talking about things that kind of once
Circle
were,
back?
Yeah, things that are now,
Yeah.
and really kind of research that goes with everything.
Yeah, you got to embrace change and like accept the old, accept the new, and just kind of like the old becomes the new. So you just have to like go with the changes.
Yes.
And it's so funny, even in hair, like with like how you style hair and everything, like extensions and long hair is always super classic. So I feel like even though short haircuts are super trendy right now, like long hair is one of those things, like it's in style at all times. Like it just is because it's very classic. But even like how you style long hair, like a fro or like
Loose,
beach
beautiful
waves,
beach waves.
the part on the side where you flip it, whether you like part it down the middle, whether you do tight barrel rolls, whether you do like rope curls, like whatever you do, like style kind of changes and evolves. And I always tell everybody at my salon, even I'm like, hey, you guys, extensions are always going to be like classic and cool because they've been going on forever, but we just need to make sure that our styles stay consistent. And so you have to research and see like, okay, so what are the salons in New York doing? What are they doing at Fashion Week? What are they, you know what I mean? You take, even though like at Fashion Week, it's like way out of the norm, like you take bits and
dial
pieces.
it down.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway.
And think about it. What was it, like the 70s or 60s that silky, straight, sleek hair was super popular?
Yep.
When I was in middle school, that was popular.
Yeah.
You did not, for any reason, have any curl to your hair.
No.
It just wasn't cool.
Bone
it was
straight.
straight.
Yes.
Like,
man, that
stuck.
was not a good era for me. That was actually when I was dating Garrett, and I remember I have like the shittiest hair ever, and I had like bleached out, like my hair was kind of like that. Do you remember? Tell me you know Meg Ryan.
Yes, I know Meg Ryan.
Remember when she had like the flippy haircut that everybody had, but I feel like she made it like super cute. Well, I had that haircut, but then the board straight came back in. So I was like flat ironing it and it looked like fried blonde, like just really, that was about it. That was about it. I'd rather embrace like the fro curls than that. That was.
Oh, for sure.
That didn't work for me.
And I feel like natural curly textured hair is back.
I know,
like back
people
with
are just
vengeance.
they're just letting like their curls out and letting their natural self be them, you know?
And I love that, but I think it's so interesting because they say all trends come back about every 30 years.
Right.
Which is true because I remember at one point, once again, we're back in my middle school days. How old am I now? I'll be 29 in 2 weeks.
Ooh,
2 weeks.
Ooh, the next one's 30.
I don't. My boyfriend's turning 30 soon, and I'm like, oh, how's that feel? Welcome to a new era. But I think it's interesting. In middle school, leg warmers were back.
Ooh.
So maybe it was early high school. Let's say I was like 14. So we're talking almost 15 years ago. Yeah.
Are they back again?
I don't know. But you have to think if it's 30 years, give it another 10, 15 years, they'll be back again.
Yep.
Leg warmers were big when skinny, because it used to be big flared out jeans were popular.
Super
Those are back
skinny.
for a bit now.
Really?
Flared out jeans. One girl who's just at our salon wore them yesterday, and I was like, damn it, those look good on you.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like boot cuts back.
Oh, is that what's back now?
Yeah, because I was like, flares I feel like are pretty, like, always pretty classic and always in, but maybe it's the boot cut. I don't know.
I feel like I've been seeing, at least in the past few months, I've been seeing flare more. And so anyway, we're getting off topic on fashion now, but I think it's so interesting how everything just comes
like
back.
circles around. Okay, let me ask you this, Ani. If you were, say, to go get, I don't know, some butt implants.
I'm sorry, you just yesterday told me about looked really nice in my jeans. You have to pick a different body part.
I'm trying to think. Okay, not to say you would, but if you were to like go get a rhinoplasty, not saying you need that.
Just kidding.
Would you just like Google rhinoplasty and find the closest one and go have a rhino?
Oh my God, no. And you know what I think is crazy? I understand that doctors are doctors and plastic surgeons are plastic surgeons, but people specialize in different things.
Right.
If you specialize in boobs, don't touch my face.
Yeah.
If you specialize in faces, please get away from my butt. Like, you have research.
Yeah. Like, you've got to do your research. Like, it's not even like referrals. Like, sometimes I'll get like referrals for whether it's a dermatologist, a doctor, like whatever. But you better believe, like, I do my research. I'm like, they're supposed to be good. But then I go into like stalker mode and I'm like, read everything. Then I meet with them. And then I'm like, okay, I'm feeling pretty good about it.
Stalker mode. I will find you on Google, on Facebook, Instagram.
And you're always going to have, like, whether it's a restaurant, a doctor, whatever it is, you're always going to have a few crazy reviews. Sure. You know who has the worst crazy reviews is, like, Hotels.com or something. There's always some person that's like, the continental breakfast was bad. And you're like, it's free breakfast, asshole.
I love when they're like, the sheets were terrible, the bed wasn't comfortable. And there's 50 that are like, I loved it, I loved it, I loved it, I loved it. And I'm like, you had a really bad day, didn't you? Wow.
Right. So that's kind of like, I think they have too many good ones. You're like, your family just created all those reviews. Like, it makes it like kind of balance out. But just just being like told, like, it's important to do your research even with hair. Like, I think people don't value hair enough. Do you know what I mean? And they think of like a technique such as like balayage or foilage or whatever it is. They think of it as like
ombre.
Like anybody can offer it. And it's so funny when I have clients come in and they're like, I want the balayage look. And I'm like, okay, you just confused like two different things. You said balayage and look. Balayage is a technique. So what look are you going for?
Yes.
And they'll show me a picture and they're like, see, like this. And I'm like, perfect. I can achieve that look. I personally don't balayage. I foil everything. Even the pieces I freehand, I wrap that shit in a foil.
Same. Yeah.
So it's like you have to make sure like if you're looking for a technique, is that even the look that you want? And is that like something you should research? You know, like if you want hair extensions, and somebody says, oh, go get tape-ins or go get Great Lengths or go get whatever.
You know,
like,
my favorite saying right now is,
what?
I wear hand-tied extensions.
Oh, my God.
I do hand-tied extensions.
I can't handle it. I finally
Why don't you explain to the people why that just makes me laugh?
I finally made a post about it. Okay, hand-tied is referencing the weft on the top of hair. So hair comes in machine-tied, micro-machine-tied, and hand-tied. Tide. 16 years ago, I discovered hand-tied hair. It was not cool. Nobody was using it. Everyone would say like, oh, you cut apart the weft and it sheds. It's no good. And with machine Tide, you can cut it and shape it and put it wherever you want. So 16 years ago, I discovered hand-tied hair and I was like, well, I like it. And I discovered if you cut it and just glue it, then it doesn't shed. And so I liked it because the weft was so much thinner and the density from top to bottom was so much fuller. And I thought, perfect, you know, like I like this way better. And I actually started with like the super thick cornrow braid extensions, like like forever ago. And
oh my gosh,
I think that's why they use that hair is because they could stack more pieces. And that's actually even where I was like, oh my God, you can stack multiple pieces. Because the first beaded row extension method I used, they just put like one piece of machine Tide and they staggered it and bricklayered it all across the head.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so it was weird. It was almost like shaping it like individual like 2-inch sections and 4-inch sections and like very much just bricklayering it, but it was just one piece of machine Tide because that's all that could the beads at the time were half the size of the MBR beads. That's all the weight it could hold. So that was like the very first beaded row system that I like saw, and I was like, okay, because I tried singles first and I didn't like those in my hair. And then I was like, my friend was like, you gotta try these beaded rows. I'm like, okay, so I tried those and I like those better, but they would slip out. And anyway, so then I went to the braids because my sister-in-law had the old school braids, and she's like, oh, they use this different hair. So anyway, that's where I discovered hand-tied hair. And now it drives me nuts because people are like, hand-tied extensions. Right now on the marketplace, if you're a consumer, you should know that there is probably, off the top of my head, I can think of 6 different installation processes using hand-tied hair on a row. So like even like salons like, I'm just going to say it, but Habit, who was offering like 6 different methods, including MBR and calling it Habit, they would just refer to it as Habit hand-tied so that they could teach like, you know, probably 2, 3, 4, I don't know, methods and just sell their hairline Habit hand-tied. But then it started to get confusing for the consumers in the marketplace. Well, because that started to trend, everybody just started calling it Habit hand-tied extensions. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but that's too general. Like, you wouldn't call every form of individual bonded extensions the same system because they're different glue, they're different, like they're different tools, like they're different everything. And so you can't do that. With tape-ins, the only extension method that I know of that has like this, that you can refer to as like, oh, tape-ins, is because there is, regardless of the brand, the quality, or whatever it is, tape-ins only have one installation process.
It's the same process.
It's a strip of hair with tape on both ends that you stick together. Like that
doesn't change.
It doesn't change.
You might change the pattern you put it in, but the
actual
way.
Yeah, the actual installation process of a tape-in is the same regardless of the brand. So when people are starting to say like hand-tied extensions like crazy, and it's almost like they're just referring to that. I don't know if they're referring to that it just being general or if they do 6 different methods or like what it is. But I just wanted to clear that up for consumers and in the marketplace that hand-tied is the weft and that there are different systems to apply hand-tied hair to.
And that's why it's so important to actually do research. Do you know what's so interesting? I had one of my favorite clients at the salon text me, and she messaged me on Instagram, and she was like, hey, I have a question. What are hand-tied extensions? And I said, you technically are wearing a form of you are wearing a form of hand-tied extensions. Yeah. I'm like, hand-tied extension just means the hair I put in. I'm like, you know how it's really thin? And I explained to her. She's like, yes. I'm like, you're wearing that. I'm like, the installation method is natural beaded rows. And she's like, oh, all right, never mind. Yeah. Because I also know the stylist she used to go to is super salty that she doesn't go there anymore. It's a whole big kerfuffle some days.
But I honestly believe it's because people are calling it that because hand-tied hair is super trending right now. Oh, and so they're just like, hand-tied extensions. I'm like, awesome way to be creative and make it more confusing for the clients.
And not only that, because there's so many different ways to put it in, you don't really know what you're getting when you show up. And that to me is stressful. So I've actually gone through, I've done the beaded kind, I've done the keratin bonded, I've done tape-ins. I was never willing to put any of that in my hair.
Really?
Hell no, I was not putting
even if I thought it looked scary, I'm like, I want to try it for some reason.
I looked and I was like, nope, I'm not going to be trying that, but thank you very much. I just didn't want to. And then I started doing NBR, and that was my form of research, though. I stalked you, honestly.
I know, you told me how you thought I was a scam.
That was going to be my next sentence. But I did. Like, it looked too good. The pictures were too pretty. And I was like, that bitch is photoshopping everything. I know she
real.
is. I was like, no, she's not. Yes, that was me. I was like, that's not real. Until finally I was like, well, damn it. She keeps putting out more and more. I'm like, I'll try it if it's a scam. Shame on
Whatever.
you. So yeah, whatever, Danielle, shame on you. But it's the research portion. And I even think of getting like, I know you don't have any, but tattoos. I'll use Garrett as a perfect example. He has one sleeve and like a half that's like beautiful work.
Right.
Like it's shaded, black, white, gray, stunning. And then he has his like tribal $50 armband or something.
Yeah, it's really bad.
It's not great, but teach their own at this point, and it's fine. Garrett knows. Don't like send him this link and be like, he's talking shit. Like he says it first.
But you know what's so funny? He's like, I was 19 and I just didn't. He's like, I was just excited to get a tattoo.
Yeah, and some people are just stoked to have hair extensions.
Yeah, totally.
They're first like just walking into the world and they're like, this is amazing, not realizing they're good tattoo artists, they're bad tattoo artists. People have been doing it for a long time, not a long time. And for me, how long someone's been doing that is important, but to me, it's also important the amount of time and energy they put into it. You can do something for 10 years and do it for 5 minutes every day.
Right. Or
you can be doing something for 1 year for 7 hours a day. Right. I want the 7 hour a day person, and that to me is super important as well. So every time I've had any consultation with anyone on anything, I'm like, hey, I just gotta ask, how long have you been doing this?
Yeah.
Like, what brought you into this? Like, those things are important to me.
Well, and it goes back, I like that you just shared that, because it goes back by like saying you have to have a reps at something to be an expert in it. Like I hear this all the time too, and nothing against you ladies that are like, I've been doing hair for 20 years. And you're like, you have not been consistently doing hair for 20 years. You haven't taken a class in 18 years. You've been doing the same 4 clients. Like you have their color pre-mixed, and you haven't been consistently doing hair. You don't have the same experience that I do or the same reps that Ani has. So you can, like, when people throw out terms of like, I've been doing hair for 30 years, I'm like, I don't really know how to respond to that. And I'm like, okay, great. In your 30 years, I bet you I have triple the experience in both business and in hair than you do.
My favorite is when I get emails, because guys, fun fact, if you email MBR, you come to me, or BMS, it's me you're responding to. But my favorite is, well, I don't know why I have to wait because I've been doing extensions for 17 years. Look, I hear you and I get it, and I can understand the frustration of wanting to learn something new, but we've shut down all education because we're really dialing in on our 250 students. But inside of that, you've never done NBR, and I'll let you know now. Shit ain't easy. It is hard, but it is so worth it in the end.
That was another thing that I was kind of talking about in the post where I talked about hand-tied extensions, is I was like, when I first started, like, hand-tied hair was like I started using Boheme hair, and I had like several conversations with like store owners and reps, and they were like, this is our lowest selling product. And I was like, I like it, And so hand-tied hair and Rose at the time when I started my brand were not cool and were not trending. Mm-hmm. And it was just funny. And I was like, well, I like them in my hair and it seems to work. And I just felt like it needed to be kind of repackaged better. And like, it just seemed to work. You know what I mean? So it just goes behind showing even how important it is, like, for the quality of work that you put out, and also like the packaging. I don't know what else I was going to say with that, but there was something else.
Well, and I like the fact that you brought up, not age-wise, but because we hear so many artists like, well, I've been doing this for 20 years, 30 years, 15 years, 17 years. And I actually think that makes sometimes the artists that come in, they have a really hard time with me, because I'll be, by the time you guys hear this, I'll be 29 in like a week by the time you guys hear this. And I've been doing hair for a decade, which great. But then people come in and they're like, you're 29. I've been doing hair as long as you've been alive.
And
I'm
it's hard for them to have like the same kind of like respect. Mm-hmm. But like, again, they don't understand like the experience that you've had could be equal to or more than what they've done. Do you know what I mean?
Since 2015, so for 4 years now, I've been doing NBR literally every day, to the fact of when I started BMS, it took a year for you and Garrett to call me because I was just doing it so much. So I hear people when they're like, oh, well, I've been doing it for so long. I'm like, yeah, I may have only been in NBR and BMS for 3 years since it started, but I have put so much more into it. And that's why research is important. Yeah. Because even now, like, the really difficult clients at the salon, it's always me and you. Like,
I know.
And because you're obviously pregnant, you're going to maybe be going down in days, and you're so booked, it's always on me. Or they're like, Ani, are you willing? Can you? I'm like, yeah, it's fine. But it's, Danielle, you're like, please no, but.
Oh my God.
But yeah, I'm the one who, if it's a difficult client, a hard personality, hard hair, anything that revolves difficulty, it's always me first, which I'm cool with. Like, I love a challenge. It's fun. but there's a reason because I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, I think it too, like you get reps with clients too and you learn how to interact with them. And that was something for me in the beginning. And I know if like you're a hairstylist and you're new at doing hair, even if you're like super talented and skilled and you kind of have a feel and a vibe for it and you do tons of education, learning how to manage client expectations is huge. And so sometimes you'll have a good artist, but they suck at literally like, especially with extensions, they are a little bit higher end. And if you have a client who's come in who's never experienced any kind of extensions, you kind of have to baby them a little bit more and like educate them more and tell them how to take care of it and what's normal and what's not normal. And if you are kind of newer at hair and you're not used to direct conversations with your client and education and things like that, you might freeze up and just be like, well, I don't know, you're stupid, I don't want to do your hair. You know what I mean? And you put judge and blame on the client. And so if you are a new stylist, or maybe you've just gotten a 30-year pattern of doing that, and that's why you have the same 17 clients on your books. And so it's important to like even practice like communicating with the client well and just being like, okay, realistically, okay, you need new hair. Okay, because that's one thing I see with extensions a lot too is people will come in and it's like, maybe not from our salon, but other places. And I'm like, how long have you had these in? And they're like 4 months. I'm like, you can't, what? I'm like, you can't do that. You can't wear these for 4 months. And we even tell everybody at my salon where I'm like, hey, we guarantee our work up to 6 weeks. You have any issues, like come in, fix it, no charge. But if you go 3 months and you come in, you're like, I don't know what happened. I'm like, we don't guarantee our work anymore. And in fact, if we have clients that call and they're like, hey, I need to reschedule, and I look at the books and it's past 8 weeks, I'm like, you need to come in and let me take them out, because if you come back with any like weird pieces or pulled on your hair, like that's on you. So it's important to have like that kind of communication with your clients as well, so that it creates a good client stylist relationship.
And not only that, inside of research, it's not just like, oh, I've been doing something. Like I can say I've been doing MBR for 4 years, but like the first year was, apologies to all my clients because I hadn't met Danielle yet. But I've been doing NBR for 3 years, but it's not just like one client here or there. It's full time. That was my clientele. Like that was it.
Right.
And inside of that, it also gives us different perspectives as to what can go right, what can go wrong, what can happen. Perfect example. A client came into the salon yesterday. She had a bead slip. And she's like, I don't know what happened. She's like, it just recently started doing this. She's like, I can't figure it out. And so I'm sitting there and I'm asking her about her shampoo schedule, how she's brushing, what she's doing. And as I'm staring at her, I'm realizing she's wearing a crossbody purse. And I was like, when you put, because it was the side that the strap was on. And I asked her, I said, hey, question. I go, is your purse new? She's like, yeah, just got it like a month or so ago. And I said, yeah. I go, do you always wear it on that side? She's like, yeah. I said, I think it's your strap. Because as women, we put the purse on, and when it catches our hair, we don't relift it. Yeah. We just yank our head. I go, you do that, don't you?
And it slips.
Yeah. And she goes, son of a bitch. She goes, fuck this bag. I'm getting a fanny pack from now on. I was like, well, I'm going to support you in this one. So then by the time she left, we're now starting a fanny pack business somehow. I don't know how, when, or where.
Then she'll at least be like, oh, lift it, and like little things like that.
She completely took it off her shoulder. And I go, you're going to drag it on the ground now? She goes, I'm throwing this purse away. But it's something that being a new artist or new into extensions or new into NBR, anything like in a new world, no one would ever think of that. But at this point, I'm sitting here, I'm like,
you see little things, you know how to problem solve because you've seen it all.
Yeah. And because first thing I started was, I was like, okay, was it too tight? Did it hurt? Was it painful? She's like, no, it felt great.
You know, it's so funny. If you're going to an extension education class and you ask questions of like, why is this happening? And they give you an answer like, I don't know, just because. That should be a red flag. Like, I'm sorry, but I try to make sure there's such thing as like being good at hair, but then I actually realized like when I started educating, like there's such thing as like being really good at teaching what you're good at.
Oh, yeah.
And so you'll like nowadays, now with social media, like everybody's teaching a class. Like I had a stylist who was recently an assistant at my salon who's never actually built a clientele or been on the floor full time, is now teaching classes. Like that's just the point that it's getting with social media. And like to each their own, like whatever. But to me, I'm like, wow, I don't know that I would feel comfortable going to a class with somebody who's never built a clientele. And it's just, it goes to show like everybody's trying to make a quick buck and they're teaching classes, and that's great. But research what you're getting into. Like find out what you're getting into and what class you're taking. And I will tell you, like the longer the teach, just like doing hair and getting reps, you become a better educator and a better teacher. And when you become a better teacher and an educator, students get better results. And your brand, like I feel like at least for the MBR brand, like in the beginning people were like, oh, it's just another beaded row. It doesn't work. And there were some that understood, like, yeah, it takes time and I'm going to have to take continuing education. But there was a lot of assholes that were just like, fuck it, it's the system, not me. You know, and I was like, well, screw you. And then I was like, okay, well, that doesn't work either. And so I had to have like a harsh reality check of like, okay, well, we need to add more value. Like, what can we do? And we're still kind of doing that now. And that's even why I think even like we did our first convention and things started like, we went from a mastermind of like 20 people to 350.
It's
like
been massive
within
in the
a
past
year.
year.
And that's a lot of growth. And even for us, we were like, wow, like there was some shit going on like that just it grew so fast that we couldn't manage it. And so we had to make some hard decisions and some hard choices with our education to pump the brakes, to put qualifications, to put like certain things that you had to do to be inside of our mastermind. And we got a lot of backlash, but that's okay. We my husband and I own the education. Ani's our lead director, and we always go into it with the mindset of like, listen, we're not trying to piss people off, but there's no point in being in business if you're not trying to like up the game. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I'm like, I just look at it as like, I don't want to just continue to churn and burn and like some people get it and some people don't. Like I've always been more of somebody who's like, okay, let's offer something a little bit more quality versus quantity. And over time it will pick up momentum, but it's always important to take a step back and be like, okay, this is the reality of the situation and here's what we need to do. So this year we literally changed it. We've cut down our mastermind. We're like, there was a lot of qualifications and I'll share more.
But yeah, and it's and the reason that we did that, because now it's not just the hair world is very, you pay to play. Mm-hmm. You paid your money, you're qualified, you're certified, you're a pro, you're an expert, you're so many things as long as you have the money. But we don't care about that, because realistically, if we wanted to make money, because don't get it twisted, the more students we have, like the more money I make too. Like the better the brand does, the more money I make. But it's not about that. It's never been about that for Danielle, for myself, for Garrett, us pumping back. Yeah, we make less money, but now it means something to do MBR. It means something to be a licensed artist. It's not just I paid money and took a one class that one time in that one weird room in Miami. It actually, like, this means something.
Well, it was turning into what it started. Like, it was turning into what it started when I started educating, and people were like, well, I did it, and because it was getting so big and we couldn't give each person the time and attention and there was no qualifications. It was just like, hey, here's your certification piece of paper. You're now level 3. And they're like, I have 2 MBR clients. And you're like, well, you're level 3.
Congratulations.
You know, and it's because like they kept coming back for education. So we were like, okay, well, we have to reward people based on coming back for education. But just because we keep giving you a piece of paper, we didn't know if you were doing the work on your end. You know what I mean? Like, we hope you are, but you don't know if you are. But that's how software goes. That's how classes goes. And everybody's in this era of like, I took her class, and it's very who's. And people are giving too much credit to popularity versus actually doing the research. And I will tell you right now, like, if as a consumer, I am more likely to go, like, say if I'm on social media and I see an account with 1.3 million followers, and it's like got just a mix of like everything, I don't even know what I'm looking at. Like, I would more go to somebody who has like 2,000 followers if I'm like, their work's good, they've been doing, you know, like read their bio.
It's legit.
Like, like if everything looks like good, maybe you get some referrals, you find out how long they've been doing whatever specialty you're going for. And it's just important, like the point I want to get across in doing the show is important to do your research and also make sure that you feel comfortable to what each individual artist that you go to, because not every salon, not every artist, not every technique is created equal or the same. And in an environment where social media is going crazy and everybody's got some kind of class going on, it's getting more and more competitive and consumers are just getting more and more confused. So I challenge all of you stylists out there, if you're doing color classes, if you're doing whatever, just make sure that it's something that, like, I don't even know where I'm going with this, like, that it's legit. Like, I don't.
It's not that they just, here's a perfect example where I see it all the time. 901, the salon in LA. It's a beautiful salon. Like, I've taken classes by, like, it's a great place to go. But inside of that, I see so many people, they leave and they're like, trained by 901, 901 this. And I'm like, wait, no, you took one class.
You're
for
like,
one
you
day.
are not 901.
Reel it in, but I
Reel it
respect,
in.
but people think if I have this on my bio, people won't know that it was a one-time class. And you're right, they won't. But that's why I ask questions. That's why even in the consultations at DKW, we say, do you have any questions for us? Because I would tell my clients, if you have any questions, thoughts, concerns, text the salon phone, call it. We will answer anything and everything. I would rather you know than be sitting there confused. And let me tell you, I'm a consumer. I'm willing to buy shit. Like not that I love stuff, but there's some things, especially like I'm heavily tattooed. If you've never seen me, I don't know, look now. Like I have tons. I did crazy research. Even when I went overseas, I was like, okay, I emailed back and forth, and I'm a super psycho, but I'm willing to pay. Like I'll pay to play for sure.
Right.
So research, guys, at the end of the day, just look into it. Ask questions. And if you ask questions and they don't know how to answer it, like Danielle said, it's a red flag.
It's a red flag. It just is. So, like, I don't know. Like, sometimes popularity doesn't always win. I mean, there's some companies, that are, like, super popular and super legit, and I'm sure that's great.
For sure.
But it's still important, though, even on those ones, like, just make sure you feel comfortable and do your research. Make sure you're getting the system that you think you're getting. Make sure you're getting the balayage that you think you're getting. Make sure you're getting the baby lights that you think you're getting. Like, whatever it is, just make sure you research, feel comfortable, and you have a better overall knowledge of hair.
Beautiful. So thank you guys for joining us for another Big Money Stylist podcast. What were we at? 56?
I forgot.
10,001. So we will definitely see you guys next week, probably with Danielle's curls again.
Oh, weird.